you know, the whole bit. This is obviously just the we specify between 60 and 70 kilos, and that really is because of the fat content. You know, we want some fat, but not too much. So, you know, we've got a spec that we work to, and if it's any bigger than that, you know, we send it back. We have done the same thing. We have a lot of Michelin chefs who want a bit of, you know, kind of idea of the cuts and what have you. And we're always amazed that these Michelin chefs, you know, don't know what, you know, we don't have the male. It's you know, we only have the female. And the female is a gilt. And we're always kind of gobsmacked that the Michelin chefs don't know that, you know, so I don't know how they'd spec their meat. We just take all gilts because, you know, I'm sorry guys, but when we've had the boar meat in, you know, it's got that urine smell, and you know, obviously when you're making products, you're doing sausage, you know, you don't want that smell, that boar meat smell. And you know, just for you ladies, we never have that problem with the gilts. It's always nice smelling. So. Yes, you look at the colour, but again, like I say, on a gilt.
And also with the sex.
Yeah, because of the size. Yeah.
What about the ring?
That's age. You know, you've only got to look at me, haven't you? Let's be honest. And again, it's an age thing, and that's why.
Heavy ring indication. Is that wrong?
Well, it can. Yeah, it can, but again, it's. We look at the colour and the fat content and the size. So, you know, I'd look at that and I'd say, you know, that's a female because of the size and the colour. You know, the males will come in, it's dark meat, and that's why you don't want that into sausage, and we do a lot of pork pies. You don't want dark meat in pies. So again, I'm going to take off the leg. After all these years, I'd have a sharp knife, wouldn't you? So, again, this leg, years ago, we just boned it out, we rolled it, and we'd sell it as a joint. Now we'll further butcher it. It'll go into kebabs, it'll go into sausage. So, you know, we've got that much going on with the leg now that we can do other things. These kind of pig's feet and what have you. You know, we've got a lot of high street shops, and you know, our customer base has changed with all the different cultures. You know, it wasn't that long ago. You know, we was throwing these in the bin because there was just, you know, I remember having these when I was a lad. You know, blimey, they take some chewing. My dad would do that, and it, you know, I don't know. God, he hated us. But now we can't get enough of them. You know, we serve a lot of Polish people in our Erdington shop, and they buy, you know, whatever we've got, they'll have. You know, so again, you know, it's good for us because you know, there's certain shops that just don't sell them. We've got a lovely Q-Gill shop in Knoll, in Solihull, and it's really kind of posh area. And the only way we'd sell that there, you know, we'd probably have to paint the toenails or something, you know. But, you know, they throw theirs in the bin, you know, so that's but like I say, with the leg, in the past, we just cut that in half. We'd sell that as a shank, that as the fillet, and that's it. But we further butcher that now, and turn it into kebabs, sausage. We do a lot of pork pies, because we won the Great Taste Awards with our pork pie. So, you know, that would majority of that would go into pie meat. So, you know, that's again we're getting a premium for a leg.
Cost-wise in the shop, would you actually put a premium price on it as pie meat compared to pie? Because obviously pork legs quite cheap really in comparison to the rest of the joint.
Well, again, like, you know, like I say, I've got to be honest. The pork joint, a leg of pork, is kind of, you know, it's falling out of favour. You know, like a lot of things are. You know, people want further butchered things now. They want flavoured and what have you. So, you know, if we could turn that into pork pies, you know, we would probably double the retail value of that, you know, so by putting it into pork pies. That's you know, the hock end, you know, of the shoulder. Obviously, that's the leg. This is the front part, the shoulder and the spare rib. But when we take this off, it's termed as a cross cut. So that would be a cross cut of pork because it's got the shoulder and the spare rib on it.
Do you dip any products?
Sorry?
Do you dip any products?
No, we used to. Obviously, we used to do, you know, a lot of curing and things like that. But it just becomes hard work, you know, when you can. We can buy in dry cured bacon and what have you, and it's more consistent. And we haven't got all the hassle, if you like, because the bins have to be changed, etc., etc. And it's just.
Master Butcher, you know, you say the smell smells more like urine.
Yeah.
Would you expect? I don't understand the anatomy of a male pig. Doesn't it pee away from itself in the male, so therefore it wouldn't smell?
It's just, you know, you can. It's hard to explain, but if I've got a boar here now cutting it, you'd see the difference and you'd smell the difference. You know, it's just a darker meat, and you know, you'd know what I'm talking about because you'd have to see it, and you know, it's as though it's in the meat itself. Is it testosterone? Is it?
Yeah,
I'm normally saying something that I shouldn't. So off the shoulder, we'll take the spare rib. Yeah, again, it's kind of a Birmingham, you know, to me it's a spare rib. Other parts of the country it's a spare rib. So, you know, it literally is kind of a Birmingham thing.
I want to make my own.
And with that, you know, we cut that into spare rib steaks. So that's where, you know, that spare rib chop comes from. That's what that is. You'd probably recognise it as that. But you know, again, we take that fat off, and that becomes the spare rib chop. But again, that's, I wouldn't say it's falling out of favour, but it's getting less and less. And the majority of that we put into our sausage production. You know, as soon as we break our pigs up, we bone it out straight into sausage production. Those, in the summertime when the sun shines, we can't get enough because that's, you know, the pork rib.
So changes in eating habits. What's the most expensive piece of lamb?
If it was a boneless piece of meat, you'd say the lamb. Okay, you can have your fillet steak, which is £30 a kilo. But if you actually took a bone, you imagine taking all that bone out of that leg of lamb, you're not really left with a lot of meat. So on a boneless kind of side of it, you'd probably say lamb was probably the most expensive.
What about sort of
Sorry.
goat?
Again, it's the same kind of thing. You know, it's whether you sell it on the bone, then obviously, you know, it's not as expensive. You bone anything out, but you've got to factor that waste and the trimming to it. But the shoulder, you know, again, we had nothing to do with these other than sell them as shoulder joints. But again, these go straight into our sausage. But I dare say, you know, we still sell shoulder joints, but that'd be, you know, your pork shoulder joint. But again, it's something that's fell out of favour because of, you know, the skin, the bone, and you know, people don't want. My son-in-law, he won't have any meat with a bone in. You know, it's got to be chicken and boneless chicken, and you know, he's quite finicky about things. Bit of a punch really, but I can't say that. Can
It's because
He's a lovely lad,
like,
really.
It looks like meat because it's got a bone in it. It looks like meat, you think?
He just, you know, like KFC, you know, you don't eat KFC, you just got to pick it up. You know, it's such hard work, isn't it? You know. So I'm going to take off the draft. You know what dads are like with the daughters, we're terrible, aren't we? Right. So that there, we'd slice that. That'd be a draft of pork. But again, you know, we take the rib out of it. Take that rib out, and that's your barbecue ribs, and we can't get enough of those. And there's more of these sent over to China. You know, they love obviously the pork ribs, and it now commands. You wouldn't think that commands more price than that. You know, it's criminal, isn't it? It really is. But what we do now, we produce a king rib, like a sticky barbecue rib. You know, we take that off. That comes out for sausage straight away. We'd slice that down the middle. We'd go through the ribs, take the rind off, put a Chinese glaze on, and then we put either a smoky barbecue or a pretty oil-based glaze, and we sell them as sticky ribs, and we get £8 a kilo. So again, you know, it's returning more money and turning a product that really is fell out of favour again. But 9 times out of 10 we do a sticky rib, or we put that into sausage production. So
if I rang you up to want some pork belly, would you sell me the ribs included, or would you take the ribs off first?
I'd offer it with the ribs in.
You do the ribs in?
Yeah, and then obviously it's up to you whether you'd want it out. But we do like cooking in our shops, and we put a sage and onion stuff in. We'd roll it, cook it obviously, and you know that becomes our stuffed draft. And again, you know that's another way that we command a premium price.
So you call it? Yeah.
So belly pork, yeah.
Is it the same thing, but you call it draft up here, or is it regional?
Again, it's just a regional thing, you know. I've always called that a draft of pork, but it's belly pork. It's a region thing.
Particularly fat. What would you do with it?
That when we do our sausage, we do what we call an ATVL, 80% meat. You know, it's visually lean, so 80% visually lean meat, and we put 20% fat. But the 20% would contain water, seasoning, the rusk, and whatever flavour sausage it was. You know, we do a caramelised onion, pork and lean. pork and cheese, so that comes under the 20%, but that would go in as pork fat, because without it, you don't get the taste, and that's why we produce sausage out of the shoulder and the draft, because you need that element of fat. We did a chicken sausage, and it was just pure chicken fillet, and it was terrible because there was no fat in it. We all know that taste is in the fat, but as long as it's in proportion, that's fine. So then we started doing it with thigh meat. We do put an element of fat in it because it was just too dry, you know.
And what do you put in your waste? Do you have a waste bin?
We do, yeah.
What do you put in?
We would put in our shops that don't sell them, and any carcass, bone meat, you know, we do. Like I'm going to show you later, bone out sirloins, hip bones, all that kind of thing goes into it. So this is the loin. And again, when I said earlier about the hip bone on the lamb, you know, that's the equivalent of the hip bone on the pork. You know, you can see the hip bone, and that would be your beef fillet, or in this case the pork fillet. And again, we take that pork fillet out as a complete piece. And we cut that up just like the neck fillet, and we put that on a kebab. We use the whole piece. And again, it eats absolutely fantastic. So this is what we call the chump, just like the chump of lamb. That's the H bone or the hip bone. And again, we'd sell that as boneless pork chops. And there's the equivalent of your hip bone in the pork. And I've got to be honest, if I take a pork chop home, I'll take that one home because you know it's going to eat really nice. And that's the loin, where all your chops come from. What we tend to do now, and again it's just a further butchered thing, we take that bone out. Again, it's just a further butchered thing where, you know, you take that off, but don't get me wrong, you know, you'd have to factor that in with your pricing, of course. So, you know, it reflects on the price, but I've got to say, it does produce a far better chop, because you know you're getting that as opposed to that with the bone in. But it is better when you cook it for eating it, etc. So, okay, so I'll label that up.
So you've already factored in. You charge for that again?
No, that would go in the waste bin. But don't get me wrong, there's our West Bromwich shop, a lot of Polish customers. They want pork bones, so you know we charge for that.
You don't throw it in?
No, we charge for that. 10 days ago, we've stopped being busy fools.
This is less waste now. Oh, good.
Yeah, we're taking a lot less carcass meat than we ever have, because we used to run a training school where we'd have 20 apprentices every year, and what we're finding now is You know, we'll have a lot of box silver size, top size, and we can train somebody up to be more than competent within 12 months, 18 months than having carcass meat. We do have an element of it, and it's a shame really, because you know you're losing that skill. But you know, we can train somebody up to be more than competent in 18 months, and not only that, they'll learn all the further butcher things, which obviously is more important to us.
Yeah.
A lot bigger, yeah. The cutter, you know, that's it'll be, like I say, we take ours about 60, 65 kilos.